Donald Trump trying to collect donation.
All
This is the
right,
strong
I
word.
just want to take this, these live visuals, viewers coming in, these wonderful visuals of the UAE president who's finally in India. He's posing for a picture with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He shook hands with him, and this cultural dance that, of course, has been organized especially for him, which is the kind of ceremonial welcome that usually somebody of his stature would get when he's in India. That's a very, very warm moment that is being shared between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. We've split those images into two viewers, one of PM Modi walking on that red carpet with UAE's president, and the other visual is, of course, of that cultural program. Now we have them embraced in a very warm hug. There seems to be a lot of camaraderie there, as we're seeing from their body language. The ceremonial dance is in tow, along with both the leaders embracing each other in a warm hug. Those wonderful visuals on your screen, viewers. And very, very interesting there. Look at the body language. The UAE president, before he even reaches Prime Minister Modi, he's all set to embrace him in a warm hug. That really speaks about really the equation that they share, which hopefully translates into something very fruitful for India especially. I now have, of course, we do have my guest joining me on the broadcast. I have with me Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, who is a former diplomat. I want to go across to Ambassador Sachdev and ask him, Ambassador Sachdev, these lovely visuals coming in that we're sharing with our viewers at this point, how do you see this very crucial visit, though it's only going to last for 2 hours? All right, I'm going to take this question now to Major General A.K. Sivach, who's a former Chief of Territorial Army, Senior Defense Expert. Major General Sivach, how do you see this very crucial visit? We were earlier discussing it's only going to last 2 hours, but how do you see this?
As far as this visit is concerned, it is very, very strategically important. And this is the third visit of Mohammed bin Zayed, who is the president of UAE. You see, as far as India and UAE concerned, our relationship are very strong and they are multifaceted. There is a boundary between us in culture, political, and also on the defense. And remember, we are also partner in as a BRICS member U2I. Then we are also on the Trilateral Economic Forum between India, UAE, and France. Then U2I2, that is basically USA and UAE, India, and Israel. So overall, India and UAE has a very strong economic relation. Also, they are the third largest trading partner. $100 billion trade is between India and UAE, where we export almost about $37 billion jam, jewelry, electronics, and basically the UAE imports to us are about $63 billion, which is mainly a crude oil. Why this meeting is very important is, you remember that we are going to have a BRICS summit this year, also the AI summit. So we want to maintain a far better relation. Our large Indian origin people are working in UAE. The way things are happening in Middle East, the way the second phase of Gaza peace plan is going to be unfolded. India has been also nominated, or India has been requested in the board of peace, which has been appreciated by the UAE, the way it has been announced the president of US. So all these factors tell that India and UAE want to increase our economic partnership other than our oil sector also. That's very important. And we want to increase it to $100 billion other than non-petroleum items in another about 3 to 4 years. They have invested a lot of money in India, also about $75 billion. And the another very important thing which is there is the trade is on the local currency. So overall, India-UAE relationships got a far-reaching result and very important to both the countries. Remember that of late there have been a tiff between UAE and Saudi Arabia, especially in Yemen. They were on the opposing side. India has taken a very mature step in that. India wants that their relation should improve again and there should be no misunderstanding. But overall, India and UAE are a strategic partner and we want this partnership to go from strength to strength. And since our trade is increasing every year, this being a third largest trading partner after US and China, that itself shows how important is Saudi Arabia, in addition to Saudi Arabia, how important UAE is to us in Middle East.
All right, I also have Professor Rohan Gunaratna, who's an international affairs expert, joining me, and he's joining me live from Singapore. Professor Gunaratna, of course, multiple issues are going to be discussed, but how do you overall see this very crucial meeting between the UAE President and Prime Minister Modi?
The UAE-India partnership is a very strategic partnership, not only because of cultural, economic, and political relations, but also military and defense. So we have seen most recently Saudi Arabia aligning itself with Pakistan, especially to get nuclear cover in the event of an attack from Iran. And we see that UAE itself is building a very crucial partnership in military and defense with India. If you look at the reorientation of geopolitics in the Middle East, which is West Asia, in fact, we will see a close alignment of the key players in the Middle East with South Asia. So India and UAE will work together. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan will work together in this new alignment that is in the making.
All right, I want to now also go across to Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, who is a former diplomat. Now, Ambassador Sachdev, the point really that I want to talk to you about is something which is, really important. I have, of course, I was just reading a while ago that there is this, of course, there are many other discussions that are happening when it comes to defense and security, when it comes to maritime security and defense industry collaboration, but specifically about the counter-terrorism efforts and strategy. How do you feel about that, and do you think something concrete will come out of that?
Thank you for having me. Basically, I am a bit puzzled person. After something like 40 years in the dealing with Middle East and having known Arabic, I am puzzled that government news agency in UAE in its Arabic site does not mention the head of state going to India, which is almost impossible in normal times. So this visit is supposed to be under the radar, at least in UAE itself, and nothing about composition of the delegation and the agenda of the visit has been publicized so far. Now, that lends to two or three interpretations. Firstly, it is something that UAE wants to do quietly. Secondly, it might have camouflage in terms of economic content and well, discussions and a joint communique being issued, anodinely talking about various things. But there's something that is uh, that is beneath the surface that's not coming through. The previous two honorable panelists have mentioned economic content and the strategic content, uh, but I uh, I need to go forward further. It's not an ordinary visit. It is something taken at a short notice. Arab leaders going to each other's capital for a day and coming back is normal. It's often done thing. But Arab leaders traveling to a non-Arab country require kind of preparation, kind of agenda setting, and so on, and the publicity to aggrandize their leaders' achievements, etc., etc. All this is not happening. Now, there could be two or three issues that makes it so sensitive, almost secretive. Firstly, it might have something to do with UAE's own security. Secondly, it may be something to do with the other two burning issues. He may be bringing a message from Pakistani leadership to Indian leadership, or it may have something to do with Iran and Saudi Arabia, as has been speculated. But I would not, uh, and I'm sorry, I would not go any further. It'll be irresponsible on my part to speculate as to what precisely the reason is. But it's highly unusual. That's where I stop. Thank you.
All right. I would request all our guests to stay on with me, and I'm just going to address this breaking news now. Now, the photo, viewers, that you see on your screens is Prime Minister Narendra Modi taking UAE's president in his private vehicle instead of a different vehicle. This is a part of PM Modi's what we call carpool diplomacy. Previously, we saw PM Modi taking private car rides with Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Jordanian Crown Prince. All right, I want to now go across to look at those. We'll just hold that for you, viewers, because this is such a beautiful picture. There's such an important moment. The body language says so much about the camaraderie, the equation that's there between the two leaders that you see on your screen. That's a very, very interesting picture there, as we've already mentioned to you. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is taking the UAE president in his own car rather than a different one. That's a wonderful moment there. And I want to now go across to Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev. Ambassador Sachdev, let's just talk about the kind of body language that we're seeing between the two leaders, because this is also something that usually people read into. That picture there, the way they hugged, the way they embraced. What really is the kind of equation between the two leaders, if I have to ask you?
I think there's no doubt on that issue, at least. They enjoy a very cordial interpersonal relationship. President Modi and President Mohammed bin Zayed have always held each other in very high esteem, and they seem to be good friends with each other. And Prime Minister going to airport to receive Sheikh and escorting him in his own vehicle is almost routine. although it also lends a certain personal flavor to the visit. And I think uh, there have been 7 visits by Indian Prime Minister to UAE since Mr. Modi took over, and 3 visits by Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed to India. And these visits have been substantive, they've been cordial, and they have produced a swath of developments, including SEPA and tax treaties, investment treaties, etc., etc. UAE has become third largest trading partner of India with substantive growth. The two sides have also the SEPA signed between the two as a result of summit level interaction was the first for UAE as well as for India of this kind. And this became a template for UAE, which has signed something like 30 similar agreements with all sort of countries from Turkey to South America's Chile and so on and so forth. So that template has evolved from SEPA signed with India in 2022. We also have India taking, uh, feeling very comfortable after SEPA with UAE to have similar bilateral agreements signed with a swath of countries from Australia, New Zealand to UK and the rest. And the much bigger agreement with the EU is underway. So it all began from this interaction between the two leaders, which has created a comfort level. Now, the two economies are complementary, and they are underpinned by large Indian community of over 3.5 million people living in UAE, the largest uh, community of non-UAE personnel in persons in that country. The total population of UAE is only around 10 million, out of which 1 million are UAE nationals and 9 millions are foreigners, of which over a third are Indians. So you can see how has it panned out. UAE has allowed Hindu temple to be constructed. UAE has allowed Indian Prime Minister to address Indian community in a public gathering, which is normally not permitted, and all sort of other little things have given credence to a visible camaraderie between the two. But then I should add here that UAE feels a bit insecure in the sense that it is surrounded by Iran on one side and Saudi Arabia, with which its relations have deteriorated. Its ties with Israel are again under the radar, but are quite strong. They are controverted within UAE and outside as well, because many Arab countries have reservations about the way Israel has conducted itself against Gaza, against Lebanon, Syria, and even Iran. So there is heat that UAE gets affected with. Its ties with Mr. Trump are okay, but it may perceive that Mr. Trump may not be too happy with certain uh, nuances of UAE's foreign policy, such as approach towards China, approach towards Moscow, and joining of BRICS, which President Trump does not like. So all that put together, it also feels that if push comes to shove, President Trump may prefer Saudi Arabia over UAE. But then all this is uh, described as possible uh, areas of concern to Abu Dhabi. Now, which one of these is a matter that brings President NBZ to Delhi remains to be seen. It may have something to do with Pakistan, which he visited last month for a cordial visit. The ties are substantive. They have, he decided to, I think Abu Dhabi has funded certain projects there and more funding was offered. So one would have to wait and see how this visit pans out eventually. But I have described the various ingredients that go into the current perception milieu of UAE diplomacy. Thank you.
All right. I want to now go across to the most recent guest who's just joined us on the broadcast. All right. We don't have Yamini Agarwal, Vice Chairperson of Finance, Indian Institute of Finance yet, but we're going to try and bring her very shortly, viewers. But look at these absolutely fabulous visuals on your screen. The very interesting part, viewers, is that usually people analyze, the kind of body language between two prominent leaders from different countries. A lot of, articles are written on it. A lot of body language experts really analyze it. And that's why we're playing out these visuals for you, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the UAE President are, of course, engaged in a very intense conversation, a very friendly kind of a conversation, where they're listening and talking with each other very, very intently. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, of course, was at the airport to receive the UAE President, and there was, of course, the ceremonial cultural program, the ceremonial cultural dance that was organized for UAE's President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. And that dance, which is ceremoniously done, there was a beautiful moment where the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan walked down from the aircraft, and PM Modi was all set to already embrace him in a very warm hug. There, you can see those visuals on your screen, viewers, as we speak. This has, of course, happened a few minutes ago, but Newsx was right there to get you fresh, live, and the latest visuals of these two prominent leaders today. This, viewers, let me tell you, is only a 2-hour visit, which makes it even more interesting, even more crucial. And now, viewers, I do have, as I was telling you earlier, I have Yamini Agarwal, Vice Chairperson of Finance, from the Indian Institute of Finance, joining me. Now, Yamini, the question really is that, when we talk about the financial aspect of this particular visit, I want to ask you that, UAE, of course, is a major investor in India. But according to you, which sectors, defense, energy, or infrastructure, are likely to see immediate financial opportunities from this visit? All right, we seem to have lost that connection there, but we're going to try and bring our guests back on. I want to now, in the meantime, go across to Major General A.K. Sivaj, who is the former chief of the Territorial Army and senior defense expert. Major General Sivaj, we haven't discussed the very important question of how counter-terrorism will be tackled. What do you have to say for that?
We did not touch upon the defense issue. The relationship between India and UAE are very deep as far as the defense partnership is concerned. We are doing a number of exercises, number of joint production of weapons also is on the talk. that we will manufacture certain weapons jointly, both by the UAE and India. Also, we do naval exercise. Number of officers are doing training of the UAE origin in India. So the point is that the relationship are very deep as far as the defense is concerned. Remember the churning effect which has taken place in Middle East after Saudi Arabia and Pakistan has signed a defense pact. Now there is a talk that even Turkey will also come in that, and that has changed the whole complex. Where does the UAE stand? Now, if you talk about that defense pact which is there between Saudi and Pakistan, this is like Article 5 of NATO. It means attack on one country, attack on both the country. Now, that was quite a disturbing as far as India is concerned, because India has a very good relation with Saudi also. But it will only time will tell how that thing unfold. But one thing is very clear: the Saudi Arabia is very rich, and it can always give a lot of funds to Pakistan to buy a modern weapon, and it, whereas the Saudi gets a nuclear cover from nuclear umbrella from Pakistan. Where does the UAE stand? That is a very important. Remember, the UAE and Saudi Arabia are not having the best of the relation today. They are having problem in Yemen. They are on the opposing side. But certainly, our relationship with UAE are very, very rich, very, very, you can say, deep rooted. And the way the president of UAE has just come for 2 hours, it speaks that there is something very important which is building up between India and UAE. Maybe that it will come into knowledge, but certainly the way the churning effect taking place in Middle East, the relationships are now becoming very, very complex. They are now, one can say, very dynamic. So this visit is going to be important, and the military point of view, I feel that we have lot of common between us and UAE, especially in terms of defense ties, which mainly revolve around doing training, exercise, and joint production. Now, one thing very important between India and UAE is, one is that 35% of the population which is there in UAE is about 43 lakhs are Indian. The second issue which is very, very important is between India and UAE is that we want to have a trade with UAE other than oil. Now, all these countries are realizing it. The oil is not going to remain forever, and therefore they want to now enhance their trade with countries like India, because India is now fourth largest economy, going to be third largest economy, and it provides huge market. So if UAE want to invest in India, that is a very important thing, and that we must make use of this opportunity. They have already invested about $100 billion. They want to invest more, and that is because we provide them a huge market. The another very important thing is the trade which is taking place, especially oil, because we energy is coming mainly from Middle East, and UAE along with Saudi Arabia and Iraq are the countries which are providing oil to India, and this oil is on a local currency business, so it's not on dollar. And another very important thing is both the countries, in addition to BRICS, U2, I2, and India, France, UAE trilateral economic forum, also part of India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor. Now that is going to become a ground reality another 5 to 7 years, and you will find it the time taken between Asia and Europe will reduce considerably, and the trade going from India going to Saudi, UAE, and then to Israel, and then going to the parts of Europe will make a tremendous impact. So I suppose the visit is going to be very, very important, very historic. 2 hours, time may be less, but it is going to be very, very important from certain issues, whether it is economic, political, defense point of view. Things will roll out once the ministry will give us. But as on today, it looks like that it is going to be strategically a very important visit.
All right. I'll come back to all my guests. I'd